Ty Oxley, boat captain on Law Connect. Firstly, congratulations. That was a mighty effort at the end, so close to catching Comanche.
Yeah, close and frustrating at the same time. Look, it's been a tussle over the whole Super Maxi series with us and them, and I guess it all came down to 20 minutes at the end of the Hobart race. So, yeah, it's good. Like, they've done a really good job and they've kept together, and I think we've kept them on their toes. So, yeah, I think great work to all the teams, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely, and you did really well in the Maxi series as well, and it must be quite a vindication of a boat of this age to be able to keep that close.
Yeah, look, these days it costs so much to build a new boat, so even these boats of these ages, we just keep rectifying them, fixing, modifying to keep them going, and yeah, trying to keep them up with the new generations.
Yeah. And as I was saying, a little brutal because you're literally only 20 minutes behind. The winner comes in, gets all the glory, the lights, the media and everything, and in the dark you come in and you might get a bit of applause in the dark there.
Yeah, look, that's just how it is. Like, no one remembers second, do they? So hopefully next year we can change that and we'll be the ones in the lights.
That'd be fantastic. Now, one of the things which you've done, which is extraordinary, it's the first time I believe, is doing the live stream. Tell us a bit about that and how you've managed to do that.
Yeah, look, it's been a project. It was Christian's vision back in February to live stream the Sydney to Hobart race, and no one's live streamed an ocean race before. So we worked heavily on putting a system in place that could achieve that. KVH, which is the satellite provider, we did a lot of work with them in getting the right dome on the back of the boat, making sure we've got bandwidth, making sure we've got enough data, and then, yeah, we worked with GoPro to get the best cameras for the job as well. So, and then Grant from Electric put it all together as a package, and yeah, we got it in. A lot of teething problems at first. I guess no one's done it before, so I was trying to get those links together, and we actually take 4 people from the Leap company with us on the race. So we sort of tasked them with different roles, and we had a guy, Gavin, down below in a media hub switching cameras, and we're in the middle of Bass Strait, and Christian's doing sunrise interviews, and yeah, it was fantastic. And I guess from our point of view, we're just trying to give back to the public on what actually goes on board, and trying to give you guys as media as much coverage when we're out in the ocean, so the public can see what goes on instead of just the bright lights when we get in.
Absolutely. Props to you guys as well, because although we get lots of pieces, they're generally little clips someone's done on a phone. To get that level of continuity and the ability to be part of the experience, I think is wonderful, and obviously that will only improve, really.
Yeah, look, we've got a meeting mid-January on how we went, and yeah, obviously it worked, but there's still things that we can do better, and we'll work with KVH and all the partners that we've got to make that better for next year.
And one of the big things was the links. You were telling us about arrangements you had to make to kind of get a little bit of extra bandwidth.
Yeah, it was great, like KVH on board, and yeah, right at the last minute we did a heap of testing. They're like, look, we'll do what we can do. So I think they've opened up the satellites to us for 48 hours, which was fantastic, you know. Like, anything that everyone could do, we appreciate. Like, we don't take sponsors on the boat, but we definitely have partnerships with people like KVH and GoPro and Electric, so I appreciate those guys helping us out.
Now, the other thing I want to talk to you about is just how much effort it takes here. So you've got the most extraordinary background, started in the Army, run sailing schools, been sailing master on this boat for pretty much since the days of Bell and Loyal and so on. There's a massive amount of work to do to get a campaign like this going on the boat this scale.
Yeah, there is, and I don't think people probably understand what goes on in the background a lot of the time, and I guess my role's changed over the years. Some people, like other boats, just have a pure boat captain that looks after the boat, but I guess these days you become more of a manager in trying to piece all different things together. So yeah, it's not just me, but it's the whole team. That we all live together, we breathe together for the whole month of December, and all we do is talk sailing and go sailing. So I guess for outsiders it's probably a bit of a unusual thing to do, but yeah, it's the amount of effort that not just myself but the team and the boys and Tony Mutter and Chris Nicholson and all the other boys in the team put in is phenomenal.
Yeah, pretty epic team you have on here as well. You know, if you look at Ocean Miles and Olympics and America's Cup and everything, pretty spectacular.
Yeah, it is. Like, we definitely put together the right people, because you can have the best boat in the world, but unless you've got the right people there, then it makes a big difference. Yeah. And I guess the other one is the partners as well. Like, we're all living and breathing with each other, and I think a lot of the times people forget about the partners that are at home looking after the kids, getting them to school and doing all those things. So I think hat goes off to them at times as well.
Yeah, and that was really nice that Sam Haynes really acknowledged that in receiving the Tattersalls Cup, all the families of the crew and everything that make those sacrifices. That's something really important to the end result in the end.
It certainly is. If you don't have that support from home or support elsewhere, then yeah, you can't do your job to the best of your ability.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, one last thing. As a sort of general factotum with a remarkable range of skills that you have, you also do a bit of engineering in the boat. And engineers really quite an important role on the boats. For the layperson, can you explain what their primary job is on boats like this, which actually have hydraulic gear on board?
Yeah, I guess for these boats, our engine runs the whole time. So the prop shaft retracts inside the boat, so we don't actually have a prop shaft in the water, but the engine's running the whole time. And that drives 2 hydraulic pumps. And so if that engine isn't going, we have no hydraulics. And without hydraulics, winch doesn't turn, we can't pull a ram on. So the engineer's role is super important. It's probably one of the most important roles because ours is Ryan Phillips, and if he wasn't there and the engine stops and we can't get it going, then you basically go home.
Yes, top handling one of those winches is not to be recommended.
It doesn't happen. We don't even have a winch handle. So I think we've got one winch handle for 10 winches. So yeah, we're definitely not top handling.
And just to explain to people, the hydraulics is really complex because you've got these PLC which run the logic. And that's basically distributing hydraulics where it's called on. So when you're on these boats, you're hearing this constant revving. Just tell us a bit about what's going on there.
Yeah, so basically when you press a winch button on the boat, it sends a signal to a PLC, basically a computer down below, and then it opens certain valves at the right time. It brings the engine revs up at the right time, and there's certain delays put in there, so the engine revs might come up before it opens a valve 2 milliseconds later, which then sends oil through the winch, which then spins the winch. Yep. So look, they can be made more complicated, so you have priorities over certain things, but we try and keep it as simple as possible, but it's still quite complex at the same time.
And also you're just trying to make sure that you don't overload and get a stall, because once you're in stall, you're in the same problem again, yeah?
Yeah, look, if the engine stalls, which has happened, and we had a few issues with that previous, and once the engine stalls, yeah, everyone's scrambling to hit the start button again and then try and get going again. So yeah, it's really important to try and get all that right.
And there's a certain amount of management there. You were explaining what you do, when you're going into a jibe and so on with the runners and so on. Tell us about that.
Yeah, we still do have a bit of priority on the boat, even though it's all PLC controlled. Like Brad on the main, he'll delay pulling the main on until we know that we've filled the sail, just so we don't lose oil flow to a winch. So it's a little bit like sailing on a normal boat where people are grinding or using winch handles. Certain things have priority, so people know on the boat when the winch is slowing down, or we make things a certain priority so that we still get through a manoeuvre.
Good. Finally, we're hoping to see you back next year?
Yeah, I think I'll be back next year. The boat definitely will be. And I think I'm pretty much sure the whole team will be back next year. We'll give it another crack and see how we go against Comanche again.
Well done, A, on the result, and B, on the live stream. I think that can only just get better and better. That's brilliant. Thanks for that initiative.